OpenAI just announced, I think last week, a $3 billion acquisition. $3 billion, bruh. A $3 billion acquisition of Windsurf, which was formerly Codeium.
Recipe. They give you the building blocks and you make it your
So it's like a Lego phone, basically.
It's a Lego phone.
Yeah.
In the same way that this Slate is
A Lego car. It's basically a Lego car.
Yes, and the reason why it came to attention because the moment I saw that video, I just thought, yeah, this, in my opinion, this is going nowhere. And I immediately.
In your opinion, it's going nowhere.
Welcome to the show. I'm Evans.
I'm Dominic.
So Dom.
Yes, sir.
This time we're on our feet.
To keep it going, you have to keep it going, bro.
Yeah. So let's start with the things that caught our attention.
Yeah.
On my side, just realized there's nothing that caught my attention.
Well, actually, a bunch of stuff happened over the last 2 weeks since we last spoke. But I think for me, I chatted a while ago, I think like 2 episodes ago, about OpenAI announcing like a $40 billion round, right? So I made the prediction that obviously at the scale that they were trying to do, the raise, they were not just trying to, they were not just trying to make the best model and just keep going down that rabbit hole of the rat race between trying to make better models and stuff. But at some point, they needed to make like a big industry play where they're acquiring products and ecosystems that are a bit down, like much further down the stream, as it were.
They're building verticals.
They're building verticals. Now they're going down the vertical, right? Or up the vertical. I don't know, however you choose to look at it, right? So I'd mentioned that they're possibly going to be doing a bunch of acquisitions. And apparently they tried to acquire CASA.
What is CASA?
CASA is like a VS Code fork. It's an IDE, very big, allows you to have like a bunch of models in it, like Claude. You can have ChatGPT, the latest models. It has so many models, Gemini 2.5 Pro and whatever. And the difference between CASA and just like being a normal extension is just the way it's kind of fully integrated into your code base. So it can have context for the whole code base that you're basically writing without having a lot of limits. Because I think, in fact, a very good segue to the reason why it caught my attention is there used to be an extension in VS Code called Codeium.
Because I was going to ask you.
You remember Codeium?
I remember Codeium. I have used Codeium.
So Codeium
didn't quite like it.
Yeah, so Codeium took the CASA route and became Windsurf. Windsurf was essentially like a CASA competitor. Now, OpenAI just announced, I think last week, a $3 billion acquisition. $3 billion, bruh. A $3 billion acquisition of Windsurf, which was formerly Codeium. And Windsurf is basically CASA.
Why couldn't they just have launched
themselves
an extension?
You did this for what? Why not? Why? Why not? Why though?
Because they started with an extension. Codeium started as an extension.
ChatGPT.
Now,
why are they? What's unique? Why couldn't they just launch their own?
That's a good question.
Extension?
I have a couple of hunches, none of them to be confirmed, but it's just an opinion. I think because ChatGPT, OpenAI specifically, is deep in bed with Microsoft, right? Microsoft has Copilot,
so they don't want to compete.
So you don't want to directly compete with Copilot, but you'd rather acquire.
But you still need
exactly. So building like an extension like competitor to Copilot maybe doesn't make sense, but it's better to just buy the whole, like the whole fork. And they tried to do it with CASA, apparently, rumors going around, but they didn't. They weren't able to do the acquisition with CASA and then ended up acquiring Windsurf. So I thought that was very, very interesting. But,
so,
yeah.
Does it then mean that eventually they're getting to a position where they'll have to look at Microsoft, who is a big investor, and see them as okay, or rather already seeing them as these are going to be our future competitor. So how do you make sense of that? How does Sam Altman balance?
I've actually been thinking about a lot about that, because where are like the non-compete clauses, as it were? Because Microsoft did a 10 billion injection into OpenAI at the time. Sorry about that. I need to remember something or to note something. SoftBank is the one leading this $40 billion round. So is it about, and this is actually the biggest round in private company history ever raised by a company. So could it be a situation where there's no exit strategy after SoftBank except for an IPO, right? And so because of that, like, you go to the highest bidder. Microsoft was big when they did the 10 billion injection, but right now they need to quote unquote monopolize the whole vertical. So if that means, going into straight on head-on collision competition with Microsoft, I think it was bound to happen, because really there's very little room at the top to create verticals when it comes to big tech. Like Microsoft will be playing into, everyone is in cloud, for instance.
Yeah.
All the big guys are in cloud. Very soon everyone will now be producing their own chips. Everyone will start to try and compete with NVIDIA. I was actually looking at some interesting stuff. It also caught my attention around AMD, Ryzen, trying to inch back and claw back the market share that they lost since they missed the GPU craze that NVIDIA had. So that was also quite interesting. Anyway, room is very little at the top because you have to ride the biggest macro trends. And so I think that's the reason why eventually OpenAI still was going to have to run into a head-on collision with Microsoft.
Okay, so one direct question. Is AI still a bubble? Is it a bubble, in your opinion?
No.
Yes or no?
No.
No, it's not a bubble.
No, it's not.
Okay.
Yeah. You see,
We shall check in with you a few months from now.
Yeah, one of my first predictions already came to pass. I'm ready to be right again. Anyway, moving on swiftly, Chief.
Moving on swiftly. So, in typical Evans fashion, I have a video for you.
Okay.
Around a topic that is very new to us, cars.
Cars.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I want you to check out this video. It's about a car called Slate.
Slate. Okay. Let me put it. Okay, I found the link. This is the video, right?
Yeah.
So should I play it?
Yeah, just play.
Okay.
Is a slate. This slate seats 2 and can carry sheets of plywood. This slate seats 5 and can fit tons in the front. It's actually the same slate. This is narrated by me,
This
Jeff.
like a defender.
I work at Slate and just happen to have a great voice.
Defender.
He really does.
That's Chris, our CEO. Chris thinks new cars are too expensive and too complicated.
A Slate cost in the mid-20s. Brand new.
One sec, Chris. Actually, under 20 after current incentives.
Oh,
Go
that's a
ahead, Chris.
Range
We
Rover.
took out everything that wasn't a car.
That means
you're
no
kind
fancy
of
screen,
pushing it there.
colored
Oh, it
lighting,
does
gold
look like a
seats,
Range Rover.
self-driving, self-parking,
No, it
automatic
doesn't.
cup holders. Yes, that's a thing.
But you can add accessories like
Little screen, big screen, SUV kit, fastback kit, open air kit, one speaker, a bunch of speakers, big bumper, spare tire holder, slatelets, fun grills,
So,
even funner lights.
customizable.
Colors. Any
Okay.
color.
Okay, that's
Okay.
interesting.
Wrap it in any
So you
color.
could all
And
have
Slate
Slate,
access
but
points
they all
means you
look
can add an
way
accessory
Yeah.
now, later, or even make one
They've
yourself.
even
It's
gone
like
the
a
Crocs
potato
route of
head.
having their own
wait, maybe there's a
gibbets.
better analogy.
Actually,
as
there
it
is.
were.
Slate is the
Okay,
chameleon of
okay,
trucks
okay, that's
and
interesting.
SUVs.
Yeah.
Seriously,
So
just
that-
add the
that's-
SUV kit.
Okay.
There.
Now, I want you to play another video.
Okay. I think the second link. Let me see.
This one is about a phone.
It's made of blocks,
Interesting.
detachable blocks. They are all connected to the base,
Yeah, this is
and
like
the
an
base
old
connects
video.
everything together. Electrical signals are transferred through the pins, and 2 small screws lock everything in place. So if, for instance, your phone is getting a little slow, you can just upgrade the block that affects the speed.
Yeah.
Or if something breaks, you can easily replace it with a new one, or update it with the latest version.
Okay. Kind of similar concept
Yeah.
to the cars.
Yeah. So it's a phone that you can make it yours by setting up, crafting together that recipe. They give you the building blocks, and you make it your
So
own.
it's like a Lego phone, basically.
It's
like
a Lego phone.
yeah.
In the same way that this Slate is
a
kind
Lego
of
car.
a
It's
Lego
basically
car.
a Lego car.
Yes, and the reason why it came to my attention because the moment I saw that video, I just thought, yeah, this, in my opinion, this is going nowhere, and I immediately.
In your opinion, it's going nowhere.
Yes.
I think it's a cool thing. I think it's a cool thing that could have the
I
same.
do agree. It's a cool
brand.
thing. It's a cool thing that's going nowhere.
Think about your life. You are a failure. You are a failure. You can never make it.
And the best way, immediately what came to mind was phone blocks, the second video that you just saw.
Okay.
And I think, as innovators or as someone who builds things, you like to build, this thing that's in your mind, and you think that the number of people who will relate to your kind of content. You think that there are many. You tend, in my opinion, to overstate the demand for your product.
Okay.
And sometimes you're right, and sometimes you're wrong. Now, I think these guys are overplaying their hand in that. I know we tell people that we'll give you choice, we'll give you option. Here are 5 different flavors of the same ice cream. Here is 15 lines of Samsung phones.
Okay.
Each for each price point, or each kind of user. If you're sporty, take this one. If you're more into photography, take this one.
If you're calm,
And
if you're
yes.
demure,
Yes.
take this.
But my thesis or my opinion is that people do not necessarily want choice. They prefer to be given a compelling vision, and they will align themselves with a vision that seems most compelling to them.
But okay.
And
Just
so
put it through.
what that means for me is, even as I was looking at this car, I tried to find, okay, then which other car could I find that's customizable
To this extent.
Okay. And the best I could find was the Jeep Wrangler, where it's
interesting.
and even then, that car has already pitched itself in with regards to a vision for its customers. And you see a Jeep Wrangler and immediately think, this person must go camping every once in a while. You're an outdoors,
You're an outdoorsy guy, or you're
in
like
the woods.
or you're
Probably
like
have like a
city
pen knife,
dweller.
survival kit.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked at this guy and I was like, okay, who are you appealing to? Now, it's one saving grace that I think perhaps might help is that it's meant to be affordable. They say mid-20s.
Mid-20s.
$20,000 is regards to its price. And it's like,
For like
okay,
a compact SUV, for an SUV style car.
yeah, I want to call it an SUV, but I think it's really good at being a pickup, a small pickup, and nothing
It's a
else.
small pickup.
Everything else is just it's just design, it's just coating on top. Because are you really going to buy an SUV that has 2 doors? And if so,
Interesting.
you get.
So
If it's a truck, sure.
Yeah, there's weight to it.
But the moment I want more than that, and at the same time, we like to think of people as just being automata who.
Just dial down, double click automata.
Human beings are not just machines where we're like, oh, here's the pros, here's the cons. Which one is more?
Oh, they're not rational.
Yes.
Per
If
se.
we're rational,
We're not all making
we
purchase choices on
we wouldn't
like
be buying
a rational
iPhones
mindset.
if it was just about the features it offers. There are so many other companies, makes and models that start from the point of view of, OnePlus launched their brand purely on the fact that, hey, we're a flagship killer at half the price.
Yeah.
But even then, there's a reason there's a reason why iPhone is still the biggest market in the US, and Samsung I think globally, or probably not globally. But the point is that the Apple and the iPhone creates a vision that it sells to the customer, a story, and people buy into that vision and therefore buy the product that support that vision. That they, Apple is for the creatives. It's luxury. It's a status symbol. It's you.
It has a why,
Yes.
like, and you kind of relate to the why.
Yes. So I look at Slate and I just keep asking myself, okay, what is its why? Do you really just want a base model car, and then you're going to go figure it out? I don't think people prefer that. And I think given that price, and given the fact that you can get a lot of cars on financing, people will still prefer a car that is more sure of what it is.
Than one that is
than one that lets you
like,
decide what it
it's
is.
giving you a recipe. Okay. Well, I think I largely disagree because I'm thinking of it in the context of you're in a blue ocean, right? So many people make cars.
Red ocean.
Yep. Oh, sorry, it's a red
So
ocean.
many people make cars.
Yeah, so many people make cars. So you're trying to find a unique selling point, a unique selling proposition. I tend to think, okay, whatever comes to mind right now for me would be Legos. Legos stand out because it's basically make your own toy type of thing, right? In a sea of all these toy makers, with a Lego, you can literally bring it together and craft whatever toy that it is that you want to make. And that is the kind of the uniqueness of it. We love it because it's Legos, It's become synonymous with DIY, custom build. I think there's a case to be made for somebody who wants to literally sell modularity as the unique selling point for your product and for your business. Because think about D-Brand, for instance. No, they're not just selling you a phone case. They're allowing you to customize your phone case. There's wisdom in doing horizontal assortment. Yes, you're not giving somebody the full breadth of, imagine what your phone case could be and print it out or something of that sort. Maybe we can make a case for 3D printers there. But in terms of like, if you give people optionality, there are guys who are looking for that. And maybe you're not trying to be the Apple of that specific sector. You're not trying to be the...
My argument is that those people are much smaller in the population than the founders think they are.
Then
I think at best they stay a niche product that attracts some select number of people, and if they're content to being that, I think that's okay.
Okay,
but if they're trying to go mass market, attract everyone, I don't think this is a compelling vision.
I mean, I think it's a select, but when you think about it, anyway,
and also
at the end of the day, everyone just marks up a specific portion of the segment or a specific segment of the market. At the end of the day, even if you're mass market, in terms of cars, for instance, if we were to divvy up the whole consumer market in the world and say, okay, what's the highest selling car brand? Let's say VW or Toyota. They don't have more than 50% of the world's cars combined, I'm guessing. These are not random numbers. You can pull up like the exact breakdown. But then again, you're trying to cover up like a strong 5%. 5% of 5 billion people is still, 250 million people. That's a lucrative market. I'm just throwing numbers here.
I'll never forget this quote.
Peter T. 0 to 1. I had that feeling it will have 0 to 1.
Never define your market so narrow, so uniquely that you dominate it by default.
No, but there's wisdom in knowing your market so uniquely that you're the biggest fish in that pond. When it comes to modularity, nobody else is going to be known. Because that's your USP. Think about it.
Just because you're unique doesn't mean you're useful.
Who made a case for utility? Nobody's actually arguing for
They are making a case for utility. And I don't think they're going to
they've made a case for optionality. Like you can have up to whatever. You can add speakers. There's another laptop that's been taking...
Framework.
Yes. Framework. Framework has been the craze of tech bros right now.
Yes.
Because you can literally custom make...
And it is always going to stay the craze of tech bros.
Okay.
It's never going to go past the bubble of tech bros.
Okay.
Or this is the device, the Fairphone.
Oh yeah, Fairphone. Yeah.
Again, it's the craze for everyone who cares about the environment and usability, but it's always going to stay.
But never for the mass.
It's never going to be something that you're going to recommend to your mom and tell her, you should actually get the Fairphone. It's just not going to happen. You can't even picture yourself.
I'm curious. What happened to the second video you sent, the phone blocks guys?
I think it was taken up by, I don't know if it was acquired or just taken up by Google, but I do remember Google did have a concept of their own. I think it was called Project Aria. We'll link it in the description. So they had their own version that's more polished. But even then,
like a more polished
phone
blocks version.
More polished phone blocks, but that never made it to consumers' markets. Because remember, especially if you look at the phone market or tech market, we are consistently in a market that takes away more and more options away from us. True. And we seem to be happy to share
less choices. The paradox of choice, like you're always having to. Like, if you can remove the thinking for me,
give me something that I don't think
a package
I just
that's
take.
fully true.
And remember, when someone says I'm buying a Toyota, there's a lot of assumptions behind it, which is like reliability. I
it's
know
a full package.
Just for a fact that as I take this, what I really want is the reliability. There's a vision that they've sold. Mercedes.
I don't care for the nuances of which car, which tire we're using, specs. But many people,
we shall see.
It's a debate. It's a debate. But let's see how.
My money is on them either staying a small company
or failing.
But if they try to get bigger
or failing.
Okay, more on failing.
Well, I'm rooting for the underdog.
And again,
I think it's an interesting concept.
They are an electric car, which again, I try to think
chances.
Who are the people who want electric cars? So the people who are moved by electric cars, the people who want to customize their cars and do all these things. Again, looking at from what I've seen, many of them are of the internal combustion engine variety. And, an electric motor does not a good off-roadsman.
You should have made with the fact that they're electric. Now it's even carved out the niche to be even, it's now a niche of a niche.
They're a niche of a niche.
Yeah, that's a hard mountain. But you know what? I'll always be rooting for the underdog just because I have to steal, your prediction. And I guess we'll see. So, Evans. Tom Sweeney. Remember Tom Sweeney? We've geeked out about this guy for a while. CEO of
Fortnite.
Yes, CEO of Epic Games. And we all know Epic Games because of Fortnite and the fact that they make amazing games. But we also know them because of the suit.
Of their fight with Apple.
Their fight with Apple because of the Apple tax. So, last week, as of today, that's 6 days ago, there's a judge in California, I think in LA, who upheld an injunction. Well, first of all, they already told Apple that you cannot cordon off people from allowing folks to have purchases outside of the Apple ecosystem, right?
Apple Store.
Yes, outside of the Apple ecosystem. And Apple lost that battle. They appealed, went up ahead. But then
they did a kind of malicious compliance.
Malicious compliance.
Technically, I've complied.
Yes.
But practically, it doesn't matter.
If somebody makes a purchase outside of the Apple ecosystem, within 27 days, I think you'd have to pay a 27% cut.
So either way, it doesn't make a difference.
If they're paying from the Apple Store or from the Apple pretty much payment processing, or outside from an external party like Stripe or whatever. So obviously, Epic Games went again. Was it Epic Games? I actually don't know how the counters would happen, but I know the judge pronounced.
All it knows is that was
shouting. Yeah, but I think there was also some lobbying to push against Apple for malicious compliance of that particular ruling. And so what happened is that now it's even been filed as a criminal case against Apple because it was found that even executives lied under oath, calling that Project Michigan, I think, which was code name for, we'll still charge someone 26% even if they make the payments outside of Apple. And now Apple completely has no rights on locking developers who are building into the ecosystem to bill people, subscriptions, etc., payments outside of the ecosystem. And maybe for context for the guys who are not that familiar with it, typically from Apple set up the Apple Store, the App Store, in 2008. And Steve Jobs literally threw a number because of what they did with iTunes. They used to charge 30 cents for every 99 cents for music that's being distributed through iTunes. And so they took the same model and applied it on top of App Store. But at the time it was nascent, not many developers were building, and they thought that, hey, that would be good for them to, that would be good for Apple to distribute apps more globally and so on and so forth. And 30% at the time was a fair cut. So fast forward some almost 20 years later, some 17 years later, into today's world. They were validating the case for 30% as payment processing costs, that it costs money to process payments globally. 30%. As a fintech bro, I already know that's daylight theft. But they also were making the case for distribution and the scale. And also the fact that there are other app stores outside of Apple, like Android, you could or just distribute your app via web. And that way, your customers can always go and consume your products there. So the first people who began to primarily grumble about this in a massive way, Epic Games, Tom Sweeney, and also Spotify. Spotify has actually had a lot of squabbles with Apple. They've even had concessions.
And Netflix.
And Netflix, which is actually quite interesting because I think there was some arbitrary deliberations for certain apps. I don't think, I'm not sure, but I don't think Netflix was paying the full 30%.
The last I checked, and this was a long time ago, was that if you couldn't sign up on the Netflix through their app, You had
Oh,
to
you
go
have
to
to
their
web
page.
via web.
Yes, sign up and then come back.
Actually, which is also quite interesting. Even for Spotify,
Mm-hmm.
you cannot do any billing configs on the app.
On the app.
You have to go and
the
do it via
website.
web. So that's actually interesting how many players, especially the big ones, who've been finding this 30% a really big cut. Now, obviously, I'm happy. Everyone is happy. In fact,
Everyone except Apple.
everyone except Apple is happy.
Everyone except Tim Cook is happy.
In fact,
Now, how will they become the most valuable company again? If you guys just keep asking,
it's actually
away.
it's a big blow. It's a humongously big blow because this was like their golden goose. Easy money, making billions of dollars every year.
The
just
golden goose.
to build the world garden.
The golden goose was the 20 billion they received
That's true.
to set a default search engine.
Yeah, that one, the 20 billion.
But it constituted a really huge part of their revenue, in the sense that how many people sign up to the store, and you remember it's a recurring cycle.
It's a recurring cycle.
We have more apps on our store, so it attracts more customers. More customers attract more developers. So
it begins to build up like a monopolized ecosystem, because basically the only way you could access Apple device users is through the App Store.
So Apple,
you can't distribute it. There's no alternative application store, which is actually the case that Google has been making for a similar argument against them. But now that raises the question, right? Is it fair? I mean, for Apple, they're the builders, they're the ecosystem, right? They've done all the hard work. They technically have free will to determine pricing.
it's their company.
It's their company.
Basically, what you're saying.
Yeah.
It's my company.
So this is I'm seeing
Get
a
out.
market versus, like, if you don't like it, forget about it. Like,
You get it? If you don't get it, forget about it.
So is it really fair that Apple has actually lost on this one? While you could, I mean, the argument for you could always distribute your app via web or just make it purely Android.
So I remember I was watching a case when it was, what's this, Basecamp, DHH.
Yeah.
When they were making, I don't know if it was an antitrust case, but something, they were in some court.
It was the same thing, I think.
It was them and these guys who make this tile, the one for tracking your device.
Oh, tile, like the Life 60 guys.
Find my device using
it's
using the
tiles.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's okay. Yeah.
And the argument that they were making was that, hey, Apple is saying that customers come to iPhone because of
the experience,
because of the apps.
Experience, the apps.
So or rather, developers come to Apple because we have the customers, right? So we give you a platform to sell. But then they're also making the case that, hey, people choose Apple because developers are there. So you can't just
a chicken
say,
and egg.
Yes, you can't just say that.
Which one came first?
Yeah, you don't need us, and you have all the customers. If some of our apps were not on the App Store, or if many of us were not on the App Store and we're majority in Android or whatever, we could shift the balance. Of course, no, very few companies, and that's why I'm actually quite interested in Tim Sweeney's, stake in all this, because they pulled their
app outside,
and that's a very big balls move.
Yeah,
because you're basically saying, hey, we are willing to lose potential customers, but like we're dying on this hill. And they also have other revenue streams. Unreal Engine, Epic Games Store. Yeah. So it's not just.
You should actually do a deep dive of Epic Games.
Of Epic Games, probably.
There's a lot of depth there.
But I think they saw the public sentiment, and they got a sense for being an Apple wasn't as cool as it was when Steve Jobs was there. Yeah. And there's also this sentiment against big tech, and so maybe they thought,
you can ride the antitrust wave. We smell blood in the time for the sharks to come circling in. I was actually thinking about the ripple effects as well. Do you think this will roll over to affect like Google and Android? Because Google actually levies a very similar fee, right? I think they have like a 30% fee and a 15% for like smaller companies as well. So I'm very curious to see if this ripples down into
We'll have to see. That I'm not sure. The other platform that no one talks about that is kind of a monopoly. Steam.
Steam.
And who's taking the fight to Steam?
Epic
Games.
Another one.
Steam as well.
Steam.
So these guys have decided to become the
Steam as
the platform killers.
has been the default marketplace for online games. I don't think, and I think it was more by happenstance because they were having it as a way to dispute their own games, and then guys just started joining.
But if that's the situation, then it's a similar case for consoles, because also consoles take a cut off of sale revenue for almost every games that are published on that particular like on that particular platform, right? So Xbox is taking a cut off of all of the sales through their platform. The same thing with PlayStation. So, but you see, their market dynamics are completely different. Maybe they're not just getting as much hit because they're a much smaller. Like, I mean, in comparison to Android and Apple Store, like, it's a much smaller segment. But still, would this then make a very strong precedent for anyone who wants to build a platform? And why shouldn't you have monopoly? If Slack today builds a very strong distribution network because of the hard work that they've done.
For enterprise tools.
And we all want to, for enterprise tools. And we all want to have ourselves as an extension on Slack. And they come up with fees. Are they not right to do that? Or if you build a system, or if you build a platform, don't you think it's fair for you to set, price set?
I think in the market, it's interesting in that it's not just about demand and supply. It's also about leverage. And for example, you'll find that you start off, you're small, you're the underdog, so many guys support you. There will come a time when Epic Games will be seen as the big. There might come a time as the big guy, and they're charging us too much. How can they demand this % of our revenue?
They could get the same thing with Unreal Engine.
It's all a matter of
leverage
perception. And the one thing that I think our audience is to know that everything tends towards decay.
Entropy.
People are never going to like you till the end.
Yeah.
This applies even just think of actors, music. You all start, we like it, it's really nice, and then somebody like, man, we don't care. And then
they all
make one
their
mistake,
past
it's like, we're going to destroy you, we don't care. And that applies to businesses, humans, ideas. Entropy is the name of the game.
Yeah. In fact, I think it's a very big philosophical argument for Nassim Taleb. Like, he loves to dig into entropy as a state of being.
Yeah.
But anyway, well, that is a very interesting angle. I'm really looking forward to see how
you always have to walk the fine line with regards to
perception. The moment perception shifts against you, that's where you lose the plot. And I think that's actually what happened definitely what's happened to Apple. I see this happening to. I'm predicting now that even Google.
I think it's the norm with big tech across the board.
But can I tell you what's funny? Immediately Apple lost this, Stripe released a video demo on how to set up payment links like outside of the ecosystem. I just died. I was like,
always remember that even when people stay silent, they are always looking to which direction the wind is blowing. And the moment they think they can get away, people can be delusional in what they want or what they say they want. But when it comes to risking, people will always make the best guess as to what will help, what is most likely for them to succeed. Stripe would never make that video
until the ruling
they knew they could get away with it.
Yeah,
they could get away with it.
I mean, I think there's just ruthless business tactics. It's kind of the name of the game. Props to them. They rode the wave. Saratoga Water and stuff. But for Apple, well, I think I want us to get into something different today. I've been thinking. I need to spice things up a little bit. I wanted to touch on, just a quick review of one of the tools that I really love using. It's just an everyday thing, and I thought since we're doing a tech podcast, it's something cool.
We looked at our analytics.
Yes.
And we are guessing this will work.
We're making the gamble.
You guys think the way we think.
And you are nerds like us.
Probably like this product.
Well, so anyway, I can't say I'm a little bit late to this party, but this is a tool that's been out for 2 years now. To be honest, I'm not even gassing it. You and I, we started using it almost as soon as it became mainstream when they opened it up. So this is one of my daily drivers. It's Arc.
Arc browser.
Arc browser. So I wanted to do like a quick 2-minute, 5-minute thing on why I think this thing is like one of the coolest products I've used, and why probably very soon I'll stop using it.
That's the way. Entropy.
Entropy is the name of the game. So anyway,
That should be like the theme of the video.
yeah, entropy. I agree, man. Everything
We all die in the
has a
It ends in nothing.
pretty sad. Anyway, so I was thinking about like, day-to-day tools, and maybe if you guys like this, we can be doing a lot more of this. But I can say I'm a little bit late to this party because everyone uses it, and I'm gonna attach like a screen recording of basically a quick workflow of why I love this particular product. So I don't want to make like another normal review, and you can also chime in in case you want to roast it.
I have my thoughts.
And I know you have very strong thoughts about Arc. But Arc right now is my daily driver browser, and I really love using it. And there's a couple of reasons why I love using it. I think it has a very difficult onboarding curve for most people who are used to normal browsers like Brave, Chrome, and so on and so forth. Because for one, it has like a vertical tab layout. This is not normal for most people who are used to the normal 50 tabs open, like at the top. But the cool thing I like about a vertical tab layout as well is that you can actually see the full name of the site that you're in. And I think it's a very cool thing if you like, if you like to like peruse through, like, or if you have like so many tabs open, this is definitely a better workflow for most people. And like on top of just like, like just having the vertical tab layout, it comes jam-packed with AI features. Anyway, I'm joking, but they have really, really so many cool features that I think make it stand out just from your typical browser. The first thing that I love to do is just Command S or Control S, which basically hides your tabs. So you literally have a full screen of the site that you're in. I think it's super dope because now you can kind of get like super immersed in what you're doing. If you're watching a YouTube video, you don't have like all the tabs at the top distracting you. Just tap Command S and everything is hidden. You have like a full view of whatever you're doing. If your workflow is heavily browser based, I think it's really, really good to lose like for distractions. And if you're big on keyboard shortcuts as well, I mean, there are so many ways in which you can get your way around this. And I think it's also the same for most browser. Command T, Control T, you open a new tab. But they have like some nifty things that they've done. Like if you search ArcMax, for instance, it shows you all the features that you can be able to turn on. If you tap Y, it opens YouTube, you hit tab, you can already start searching a video. You don't even have to open YouTube, go to the search on YouTube, start searching your stuff. You can just do it straight from, Command T. And if you use Spotlight, you would definitely fall in love with that kind of workflow. Then they have these other small things that I'll just probably chat about 2 of them. Because if we talk about all the features, we'll be here the whole day. They have this thing called Tidy Tabs. I didn't know how much I love it, but I started using it a lot and I just fell in love with it. Let's say you have like 50 tabs open and then you click on Tidy Tabs. It groups all your tabs according to like relatedness of the sites. So let's say
using AI?
Yeah.
AI?
Using AI.
Yes.
But let's say you have like, if you're a designer and you have Canva, you have Behance, you have Dribble, and then you have, like an online design workflow. It can literally group your tabs in terms of like, let's say the resources you're doing. And then now it becomes much easier for you when you just do like Command S, you can quickly peruse through like your workflow and you can quickly peruse through the different tabs that you're using. And I think that is super nifty. And they also have this thing where if you're downloading a file, it automatically renames your file to something using AI. It automatically renames it into something logical. And just think about how many things you're downloading from the net and you don't have any clue about it. And the final one, which is where I'm going to end my gassing of this tool and finish with why I won't be using it soon enough, is something called Workspaces. I didn't know how much I'd love this one, but this thing is like a game changer for me. So think about it this way. Let's say your workflow, again, is heavily browser-based, right? You can set up multiple workspaces for different modes that you have. I can give you an example for my own workflow. So on one side, I'm working. I have like my workflow, right? My day-to-day activities. So I have a lot of my normal tabs, and I've pinned a bunch of tabs that I normally use. But more than that, I have my coding workflow. So I have like a bunch of resources. I have bookmarks organized in folders and stuff in a different workspace, still on the same browser. I also have like a struggling DJ workflow because I try to learn this thing called DJing. So I have a workspace set up entirely.
Just quit your day job.
Yeah. But yeah, who knows? We'll see how it goes. Catch me in the next video. Shooting a DJ recording. But anyway, I think that's such a really, really cool thing in terms of context switching, right?
Yeah.
Doing multiple things.
Look, you've given all the reasons. Okay. I use Arc. And I've been using since you first put me on to Arc. Except you've not, like, I'll be very honest, you've given like the worst kind of.
What's your favorite thing?
You've forgotten the main, the vertical split tabs.
I started with that.
Split.
Yeah, that's actually pretty
Come
cool.
on.
That's actually pretty cool. That's actually pretty cool. I think different guys can try it out and tell us
Like,
what they
I
think
was
about
suffering
it.
just waiting for it.
But
You can open 3 websites side by side.
That is actually pretty cool. And you just drag the site you're on and drag it on, like on the side that you are on, and
Yes.
automatically splits it for you. Well, you can achieve this with other browsers, but you have to depend on your tile manager for the machine that you're using, which is
Tile manager.
yeah.
You have to open a separate windows.
Yeah.
Again, that's why.
But that's why it's a nifty. It's a
that's
nifty
stupid.
thing. Do you know what? I actually don't find myself doing a lot of that because there is a very nifty keyboard shortcut, Control Tab. You can switch between different tabs in a workspace. And I personally,
and that's why I told you your explanation sucked.
No. That's your workflow, and that's okay. That's okay, man.
No, it's not okay.
Nah.
My way is the right way.
No,
yes or yes. My way is the right way.
Okay.
Split those tabs.
Walk me through like a typical workflow. Okay, well, actually, there's many reasons to split your tabs.
You log into whatever website. Literally put in any website. They ask for your for a verification code sent to your Gmail. So immediately I just open side by side. Or if there's something I'm comparing from when we're doing research for these stories I talk about.
Oh, so you have
them side by side and start a comparison.
Oh, okay. I should actually do a lot more of that. I don't do it that way.
Anyway.
Yeah. So interesting.
Again,
opinions. But then there's a small caveat. These guys stopped developing, or rather making active updates to Arc from January.
Why is it okay?
Because
they're being acquired?
No.
Guess AI?
AI. They're building now an AI browser called Dia. But to be honest, I'll stop using it because I'm really looking forward to trying it out. I've seen the video that they're gassing, and I'm like, it looks like a better version of Arc. So to be honest, I'm not that, tied to a browser, super agnostic with it, but I'll check it out.
For me, I'll stick with my vertically split websites. Thank you.
What's your browser? Your daily browser?
Arc.
Oh, there you go. That's all enough said.
Yeah.
Try it out.
A wise man once said, "Don't ask me where to invest. Just show me your portfolio."
Your portfolio, exactly.
I use Arc.
How many times do we have to teach you this lesson, old man?
Love it. So, guys, that's been us.
Thank you so much for joining us. Please like, subscribe, comment. Let us know what you think of the episodes. Help us get to 1,000 subscribers. We are currently at a very high number of around like 60-something.
Yeah, boy.
Not even at 100. I mean, come on. Most of you watching are not even are not subscribed.
We have to throw in there, most of you watching this video are not subscribed.
Our analytics have told us that 99% of people are not subscribed.
Yeah.
So let's stop wasting time. Subscribe. Thank you.
Yeah. You can hit dislike only after you.
Oh, don't remember to hit confirm once you hit unsubscribe. See you guys next time.